Welcome to this edition of Inside Fall River, and this represents a new year for Inside Fall River and Bristol Community College, and I'm pleased to have a special program. I think as we make our New Year's resolutions, there might be some advice that comes forth through this program on issues around sustainability and how we all need, for our own survival, how we all need to lead more sustainable kinds of lives in order for us to survive and for the planet to survive. So hopefully our guest will give us more of that kind of information. So with me on my far right, your left, is Doctor. Are you a doctor, by the way? Are you the only non-doctor? You and I are the non-doctors.
We are the non-doctors.
But you are a vice president.
Yes, I am.
And Steve Kenyon is vice president of administration and finance here at Bristol Community College. I'm going to try my Spanish here with Carmen Aguilar. And Carmen is the dean of Bristol Community College's relatively new Center for Workforce and Community Education. Much of her programming activity happens down at our campus on Duval Street, but also much happens here on the campus and throughout the other campuses that BCC has, and Carmen will explain more about that. And Dr. James Corvin, who's a professor of biology and coordinator of the Sustainable Agricultural Program, probably the most well-known in terms of the college and the community because of the many activities that he leads here at BCC. So each of you looks at sustainability, as we all do, from our own perspective, and I'd like to begin with Steve and have you just tell us, what does sustainability mean to you?
Well, sustainability to me, it's kind of evolved, but it started with conserving resources, the college resources, but that evolved into also trying to save energy, fuel, electric, gas, recycling. I really looked at it from a college perspective, and since then it's evolved into a personal commitment as well. But it's mostly getting the best use of the college resources.
So you're looking at it very practically on how to save money.
Extremely practically.
That's a big part of it.
And I think that'll differentiate me from maybe our other guests, but yes, very practically.
Great. And Carmen, from your perspective?
Well, for us, it's a commitment and a lifestyle. It's the commitment to the community and a commitment to our students as well, to do renewable energy, recycle, education about how we do more things to conserve the resources of our planet, and how can we develop skills for people who can work in those areas as well.
So you've got a big picture to look at, and
the workforce and education.
And in workforce and education, preparing the people of our community and our larger community for the jobs not only of today, but the jobs of the future.
Yes.
And Jim, your perspective on some hands-on activity that people do.
Sure. I think everything that's been said is correct and sound. What I'd like to add to that is kind of the broader perspective of sustainability really derives from being able to be environmentally sound, as we always want to be, and not be degrading our environment, using up the resources or contaminating our environment. And everybody thinks of that, but they also need to think about the economics of sustainability. Nothing is sustainable if it's not economically sustainable, because it isn't going to last. And we want things to last. And it's not sustainable if it's not socially sustainable, so that society and the population involved have to be part of the program. They have to be part of the sustainability. They have to benefit from it and be part of the decision-making process in it. So it really involves all three, environmental, economic, and social aspects, to be truly sustainable. Whatever the activity is, whether it's a course, a curriculum, or a school project, or a community project, that's really, I think, encompasses the broad idea of what all sustainability refers to.
Well, clearly, Bristol Community College has a commitment to sustainability, and now beginning with Jim, as the coordinator of the Sustainable Agricultural Program here at BCC, tell us about your background and what specifically do you do here at BCC?
Sure. I came here from a position at another university overseas, where I spent most of my working career. I'm originally from Michigan. I'm a Midwesterner. I went to school at Michigan and Michigan State, did my graduate work and got my doctorate at Michigan State, and immediately went overseas and have been working in research and extension work in agricultural development projects in Central America. And I continue to do that a little bit, even though that I'm back here now. But after doing that, I realized that teaching was something I really enjoyed, I really felt was beneficial and was really important. So I got back into teaching here at Bristol Community College, and was lucky enough to get into the Department of Biology, and we developed then the Sustainable Agriculture program out of the Department of Biology based on many people's interests.
And the programs that you offer, are they predominantly here at the Fall River campus or throughout the other campuses as well?
Almost all the courses that we offer for sustainable agriculture are right here at Fall River. We have one course that rotates around a couple of places. The beekeeping course has been offered in New Bedford as well as in the Duval Street campus in Fall River, and here as well. And the Master Gardener course has been offered in a couple of different places as well.
Great, and I'm going to have you expand a bit on the Master Gardener perspective in a bit, but let's talk about the associate degree and the certificate of sustainable agriculture. These are both offered here at the college. Why was this program developed, and why is it important to our area? And what do your students study in these programs? What do they learn in sustainable agriculture?
Okay, the Sustainable Ag program was started because a number of faculty and staff started to look at things going on around us in the country and in the world, and we realized that things are changing and there are needs for some new approaches to doing things. It became very apparent not only to us but to many, many people in the field, professionals and practitioners alike, and farmers most of all, I think, that we cannot continue farming the way we traditionally have been doing in this country. It just cannot continue. We cannot continue to consume petroleum. We cannot continue to degrade our soils. We cannot continue to contaminate our foods with ever more toxic chemicals and producing less and less nutrition when there in fact is a need for more and more nutrition. And people now are starting to expect that. They're starting to look at where can I get better quality foods at a better price. And it turns out that there's an approach to this, and it's not new, and it's called organic agriculture. It's been around probably forever, and agriculture in this country is shifting in that direction as people start to realize we can't afford to raise things using petroleum as our fertilizer, which is what is done in industrial agriculture today, and we can't use all the chemicals that we need to contaminate the food that we're eating to make ourselves healthy. So we decided, well, what can we do at Bristol Community College? We're not a developmental organization, we're not a funding organization, but we are educational. So we took the obvious track and moved into a program of educating people in the area. There's a demand from people who want to know about food. They want to know about food policy. They want to know about raising food. They want to know about agriculture. They want to know about environment and jobs. And there's great opportunities in these fields in agriculture. Right. This used to be a traditionally agricultural area.
Sure, sure. In fact, the land on which we are located used to be a city farm. Sure. Or certainly just west of here. This was the city farm where Fall River came to grow its crops to a large part. And I thought when you were touching on petroleum as a source, I didn't expect so much going to the fertilizer point, which is clearly important, but the thought that we put on our tables crops that are grown in California or in Chile or in other places around the world, and all of the petroleum it takes to get those crops to the Fall River dining tables. Now there's more of a sense of buying locally and growing locally so that we're not using all that petroleum to get the food to our table. That's a significant piece of it, isn't
Absolutely. Today we're using about 50 calories of petroleum energy to produce 1 calorie of food energy. That's not a good investment.
An absurd way to go.
And
Yeah.
it's not sustainable.
Right.
We're using up the petroleum. We're not anywhere near running out. We're not going to run out for a long time, but at what cost?
Sure.
What's going to happen to our food system when gasoline is $12 and $14 a gallon?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to be able to afford to ship stuff from Chile or Mexico or California to our plates here? It just doesn't make sense.
Sure. I'm going to deviate a little bit, and I'm going to jump to Carmen now to basically follow the same pattern we just pursued with Jim. As Dean of the Center of Workforce and Community Education, tell us a bit about your background. I don't hear a Flint accent, basically a South End Fall River accent, so that'll be intriguing to find a little bit about where you come from, and what you do at BCC, and what your commitment professionally is to sustainability.
Well, as a dean of workforce, my main commitment is to provide different training options and talking with employers and find out what are the needs for the next workforce that they're going to be hiring. So we are at an area where a lot of renewable energy is growing. You know, the wind industry is just arriving. The solar industry has been solid for a few years already, and we have weatherization and green construction and others. So I came to the sustainability conclusion when, as probably Stephen also and Jim, realized in a personal level that we have a commitment higher than our professional role. So it's a commitment to change and a commitment to do better, which is part of BCC commitment to sustainability. Our president signed out, you know, the sustainability, which I don't remember exactly the name of that document that many universities and colleges signed to commit to a better use of energy and technology to sustainability. So I guess I came to the realization when I joined BCC that BCC was committed to these topics. I've been only here 8 years. I grew up on a farm. As a child, I grew up on a farm. So when I came here, I realized that this institution is committed to the same principles that I came from. Mm-hmm. And I try to infuse those in the workforce training points that we do and the programs that we offer to the public.
And where was this farm?
Mexico. I'm originally from Mexico in the central west of the country.
Wonderful.
Yes, yes. And so then I arrived here many years ago. You know, I was saying to you that one of the main goals that my department has is really to work with employers. In the solar industry and the wind industry, we have a lot of offerings and working with employers in that regard.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you mentioned some of the activities in your workforce programs and your partnerships with business and community. Could you expand a little bit on that? What kind of relationships have you been able to develop and with then your partners been able to move forward?
Sure. We have a great partnership. We are actually the only community college in the South Coast area supported by the Mass Clean Energy Center, and we have a weatherization center. And basically, we work with employers in partnership with the industry to provide the skills for the weatherization industry in the region, also green construction, and we are BPI testing center as well. In a few months, we're going to get the official certification for that. So what we've been doing is trying to position our college as a resource center for everyone in the area who wants to learn how to, you know, save energy in their homes, how to save energy in their companies, and how we can work together to identify and find out ways that they can improve their homes and their office facilities to save that energy level. And that's for weatherization is just one example. We've been training more than 70 people in weatherization with more than 10 companies around our region. The solar, also the same thing. We're working with the union, with the electrician union to do training for them. We've been offering training to high schools, also to faculty members, and also you know, the employers and the employees of the solar industry here in New Bedford and Fall River and the surrounding areas. And finally, you know, we recently been engaged with the terminal, the New Bedford terminal that is being built to launch the wind energy initiative that the state has. So we are now doing a training to develop the skills for those who are going to be able to work in the windmills when the windmills will be ready there. So we are developing that program and skills.
Well, that certainly puts the South Coast and the Greater Fall River, New Bedford area at the cutting edge of what needs to be done in order for us to become a more sustainable planet. I'm a UMass Amherst guy, graduate, and I look at what the University of Massachusetts has done on the western part of our state to really galvanize that whole region, that whole Pioneer Valley, into thinking outside the proverbial box, that now the whole west side of Massachusetts is very tuned into progressive kinds of attitudes as it relates to agriculture and sustainability, et cetera. I really think now, when it's taken a few years for UMass Dartmouth to have the same effect on the South Coast, but I think that Bristol Community College in some ways is really almost leading the effort along with UMass Dartmouth. I don't want to minimize the university's impact in this process, but I think between the two, it seems as if the whole region is moving into a more progressive attitude. Do you see that?
I definitely agree, and I definitely had to brag a little bit. BCC has invested a lot of years, all the way from the president, as I was saying. Steve Kenyon has been in many of the initiatives that we start, and also Jim and other faculty members at BCC. We have a team of people here and leaders inside the organization that are really committed to sustainability topics, and have been trying to raise and highlight that over the different projects. We are just 3 people doing some efforts, but there are others that are not in the room today, that they work every day with faculty members, with our community, and with their business partners as well, that do a lot. So BCC really has been, I have seen it around the state as well. The state is very committed to help us. The Massachusetts Clean Energy Center is very supportive for BCC, and we're really the lead in the region for these particular topics.
Well, that's great. And I'm going to come back to you, Carmen, particularly to address how people can get connected to you and to your department and your program so that they can advance their own professionalism in their own careers and their own job opportunities. But I'd like to go now to the Vice President and ask the Vice President to basically parallel what Jim and Carmen have done. Tell us your overall sustainability efforts right here at the college, what's unique about the Sprague building, and also some other activities that are happening here at BCC.
Yeah, there's been so much that we've done here on campus. It's actually hard to keep track of. Our first solar array went up in 2004 on the roof of B building. That was a 10 kilowatt photovoltaic array system, and since then we've added another 100 kW of solar panels on the roofs of F building, D building, and C building here on the Fall River campus. And it just, the list goes on and on. We have a small scale or educational scale wind turbine out behind this building in lot 12. We have solar hot water. Some people I don't think even aware of it yet, but on G building, our cafeteria, the hot water is provided by solar. And we've done so much in the recycling field, whether it's cardboard, metals, glass, papers, you name it. I think it was 80 plus tons of paper we recycled last year. And yeah, we've just tried to grasp every administrative component of sustainability and try to implement it here to complement what's being done in the classroom and with Carmen's group out in the field, with employers and the offshore wind.
Now, anyone that comes onto this campus, if you're driving into the main road, your first right off Ellsbury Street, coming in from President Avenue, on your left and on your right, there are things that are happening. And on a rainy day, you have to avoid the waterfalls that are coming down. Tell us what's happening on both sides of that street that comes into BCC.
Yeah, there's a lot of progressive construction going on out there, and starting with the John Sprague building, that was something that we had worked with faculty and academic administration to decide what was going to be in that building. And as we developed the content, the science, it's chemistry, biology, nursing, dental hygiene, as we developed the content of the building, we realized that we wanted to make it is sustainable, is possible without costing extra money. It's a $29 million project. So we didn't want to add to the cost by going in the sustainable direction, but we're able to work with our designers and architects and engineers to make it the first zero net energy building in the Northeast. It's particularly difficult in the Northeast because of our climate.
Now that to me is so important, and I've heard it before. Now, what does that exactly mean to be a zero net energy building, and to be the first in the Northeast indicates to me that others will follow.
Oh, absolutely. Now, in the others, there are others in design now, but it's the type of building, a chemistry, biology. These are rooms that have a tremendous amount of use a tremendous amount of electricity. They have fume hoods, and there's special lighting, and the dental has the operatories, and nursing has the simulators. The building will consume an enormous amount of energy. So to save the energy, we actually are going to generate more energy than the building will consume right here on campus. And that's done partially through the design of the building, but the building, it's already been installed. It's actually underneath the ground now are 30 geothermal wells. Each one is 500 feet deep. And what that'll do is it'll take the water down to the 500-foot level where it's 58 degrees all year round, and it will help with both the heating and the cooling. So it's a year-round benefit. And also the building will have a tremendous amount of solar on the roof.
Now, you had mentioned in an effort to do this without it having some additional cost, have you been able to receive some grants and awards, grants to get it done and awards because you are getting it done?
Yeah, both actually. We've received over $1 million in grants from the state and the Department of Energy Resources to help, because they were just so supportive of this initiative and our goals here on campus with this particular building and the solar project. And like you had said, because of these initiatives, we just recently won a Leading by Example. It was awarded to us by Governor Patrick. You know, the president went up and received the award. And it was not just for the new building, but it was just everything that we do that you've heard about from my colleagues and myself today. We've the last 5 or 10 years, I think, are a college to emulate in all things sustainable.
Well, anyone who's connected to the college knows that there's a pride that exists in being a part of the BCC family. Yes. I think that anyone who's part of Fall River or the South Coast, more and more are recognizing that, as the president says so often, the middle name of this institution is community. So as long as the community understands that this is their space, that then reinforces the attitude of we're all in this together, and we want the community to be more connected as days and years come, that this is a place for the community to be connected. Yes. And so with that in mind, I'd like to get back to Jim and talk about some of the specific activities that are happening here. There is a student organization called Seeds of Sustainability.
Yes.
And so maybe we can talk a little bit about that, and also move in as we wrap up. We're getting close to wrap-up time, but we'll also talk about the Master Gardener program.
Sure. The Seeds of Sustainability was an initiative taken by a number of students a few years ago who had been through the Sustainable Ag program, started to realize that it's not enough that they just get their degree and certificate and knowledge and skills, but they need to start doing things. They need to start getting other people involved, and they need to start reaching out to people in the community to get them aware of what's going on and what the opportunities are. And so they formed a student club, which I just work as their advisor, and they run a number of regular activities to fulfill their mission. And so they have workshops almost every week during the school year that are free to everybody in the community and in the college campus on sustainable lifestyle things.
For examples?
Well, they've had on how to, some of them are agricultural oriented in terms of how to grow plants and how to grow your own seeds and get things started, how to preserve your own foods. Some of them are energy related, some of them are home domestic related in terms of green cleaners, making your own cleaners and so on to avoid the toxic, expensive things that are in the supermarkets. Anything that would be a practical skill that somebody
we love chickens
could take.
in the backyard.
Chickens in the backyard would be great, and they've had a couple of chickens workshops to get people to help them get started with a few chickens instead of having just dogs and cats. Chickens make great pets.
Great. Now, how do people get connected to your programming?
Well, we're a part of the BCC curriculum, just like any other program under sustainable agriculture, and we have a long line of courses, all of which are transferable. So people who finish the program can either go straight into work, if that's where they prefer to do, or they can transfer on to UMass, Amherst, or Rhode Island.
Many of these could be just taken to learn.
And we have
community
a number of
education.
people who come in. They're not even full-time students. They're just, they want to take a couple of courses because they want to learn about beekeeping, they want to learn about master gardening, they want to learn about a little bit about agriculture, and they take a couple of courses, and then they go off and apply their new knowledge and hopefully spread it to other people.
And likewise, Carmen, how do we educate the public to get connected to some of the fine things that are happening under your coverage, under your overview?
We'll be happy to, get a phone calls or the emails or visit us on the facility. We can talk with everyone here at the Fall River campus, or we can talk at the Balls Tree. I think the easiest way will be for people to probably call us, 678-2811, extension 2158, that's my extension. And we offer together sometimes courses and programs with Jim, and as well we've been doing a lot of efforts with Stephen, and we will be looking forward for any kind of questions and initiatives without the public.
Great, and all these numbers and contact information will be on our screen so that people will know how they can reach each of you.
Yeah.
And hopefully that they will do that. Steve, I'd like you to maybe close it just with a summary on where do you see the future? Where do you see us going as a college, and where do we see all of us going into the next year or two and more?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think we're going to see more of like the model about the solar carport system that's out there, where it's actually a third party that invests the money to put up that carport, which is the largest solar carport system in the Northeast, and the college is buying the energy for 20% less than we would normally buy our energy for. And I think there's opportunities here to do that with wind. And I think you'll start to see that throughout the community more and more. That's my prediction for the future.
Well, as we wrap up, Carmen, any final words?
I just want to invite the community to, grow your food more frequently, buy local, and do everything and every effort that you can do to save the energy and keep a clean planet.
And Jim, you get the last word. Any final remarks?
Well, all of that, plus I think our students come from the community, and I hope the community will support our students and welcome them back into their community as they come out looking for jobs and doing good things, whether it's on their own farm or in their employment, and support our students.
Great. Well, I want to thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I want you to think as we begin 2015 on what you can do individually and what we can do collectively to make our community more sustainable. And thank you for watching Inside Fall River.